Good morning. My name is Desiree Ferrer, and I am your analyst. All right, so let's take a look here at SPY. So right now I have it on the daily chart, and this was yesterday's candle. And if you take a look at overall, like this appears to be a double bottom. This is the first thing I look at when I look at this overall chart here. And you could see the lows, and then you can see the higher low here. And then you could see it coming up right now. Coming above 50 is going to signal strength. And if we break above 50, it's because we break above this 392.6 area. Now this is a very tough area, guys. Trying to break this 392-ish, 393-ish area is going to take a lot of push and pull. I mean, unless there's a lot of volume and we just push through it because buyers are just here and it's real heavy. But the reason why this is a pretty heavy wall here, or pretty resistance or rejection, is because you can see here that it was once support, okay? And it was holding support for quite some time. This is like 3 weeks. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, actually more, 5, 10, 15, 20. Damn, this was like 5 weeks that it was holding this support area. So trying to burst through this 392.5 area, or whatever this area is, we'll say 393-ish. Trying to break through this wall is going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. You can see where yesterday we tried to break through the wall. I thought we was going to hit 395. We was going. But of course, sellers came back in, pushed it down, rejected at this zone here. So we're coming up on this zone here. We closed with a really pretty candle. This is a really nice close. So we know that there's some buyers stepping in, but you guys got to be prepared, especially you day traders. You do have to be prepared for this potential rejection here. All right, so let's take a look here at what's going on. All right, so we know that since we broke yesterday above this level, this is no longer support here, okay? This is no longer support. Our new support now is going to be 387.9. We needed to hold the 384 area in order to keep going, but as you see yesterday's candle, we did hold that and we continued up. I seen on the lower time frames we have hit a high of 391. This is a good sign. I mean, generally when we hit a high, we'll see other highs coming. But again, we do have to be careful because we are coming up on a very strong rejection here. Okay, so this 393 can signal rejection. I was looking at the lower time frames here earlier this morning, and I still see volume in the lower time frames here, like on the 4 hour, 1 hour is coming up in some volume. So breaking above this wall, I wouldn't be surprised, but more than likely we'll reject. So this is going to be the zones that we're going. Once we get here and reject this wall, we could potentially take it back to 387.76, come back up, reject, come down, come back up until the break happens. And a lot of times it takes about, I'd say maybe three to four rejections before the break occurs. But if the volume is really strong, sometimes it can break through at the second time. But normally we'd like to give it about 3 to 4 rejections because we need a pattern to form. Okay, so even if we form this pattern here, say here, because we, instead of pulling back all the way to 384, we hit a low of 385. So this definitely, signaling the equities has a little bit of strength. So if we come back here at 387.87 and then we come up again, this could possibly be the time that we push through because we created a pattern. So we would have 1 rejection, 2 rejection, and then a possible breakthrough, okay? Or it'll be 3 rejections and 4 rejections before the breakthrough, okay? So I like to look at what could potentially happen. What pattern could potentially form? What are we looking at, right? That's what I see here. Now let's take this back to the weekly. All right, so I like the weekly. The weekly looks really good, guys. So you got this low here, you got a higher low, and then you have this one forming and potentially coming up. I mean, once we hit above 50, oh yeah, we're signaling some strength here. And this could change things because once we get above 50 here and we're pointing up, this is signaling strength. So this could be, we could have a potential breakout around here. Look at this. This is a beautiful double bottom pattern here, a beautiful double bottom. And then, I mean, because here I was telling my team, because I do pre-market analysis in Discord, which you guys check out the link. It's in the description box. We're live at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So this is where the 200 MA sits on the weekly, right? Which is that 384-ish level that I mentioned in yesterday's video. So if you haven't seen that, take a look at yesterday's video. If we turn here, we're creating a higher low. So you have the low here, you have a higher low. And this is how a double bottom looks like. And you could see here that we created this hammer on Friday, which is a reversal candlestick at support. This is the support area, okay? So if we break out, the pattern would look like this, okay? Now we're going to definitely more than likely get some rejection here at 410 because we've been getting rejection here for the last 7 or 8 months. And if you look at that, you know, on the higher time frames, but we could possibly get a rejection here, but not get a really hard rejection like we've been getting the last 7 or 8 months. We could potentially break this and continue to go. That's, you know, that's my speculation because at some point we have to break this consolidation here on the higher time frames. And of course, though I'm not giving you guys no hope or anything, but I look at what could potentially happen. What could potentially happen? You see here, let's get all rid of all of this so you guys can see. But you see here, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months of consolidation. And as you see, every time it gets here to about 4:10:01, it rejects. It rejected here, it rejected here, it rejected here, here, and you can see this doji was created here. It had a little fake out, but definitely rejected here too, okay? And then you can see that most of the rejections occur around this price. I mean, not rejections, the hold occurs around this price area, which is 375. This is our support. We did fall below here, had a little scare, but we came back up the following month. But you can see the consistency stops here at the 375-ish area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So yeah, so this is what I'm looking at. So at some point, we're going to break above this 410, right? Or, I mean, we're going to fall below. We got to be prepared for either way. But as of right now, we're heading up. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. Potentially is we're heading up. But once we get here to this 410, you got to be careful. This is a very strong rejection area. This is where you don't want to be long. You want to get out all positions. We could potentially break, but it doesn't matter. If it breaks, great. That means we're breaking out of this pattern here and we're going to continue up, but you don't want to be in any positions taking the risk. Okay, that's just my recommendation. All right, so let's take it back to the daily here. What I like about this too, this to me kind of appears to be like a small flag of forming on the daily, which is good because that's showing that there may be some potential momentum here, okay, coming in. We know bullish flags, once the consolidation, we could consolidate here for a few days in the zone before we break above. The next resistance, and I'm going to calculate all of this here. We know that the resistance now is, because this is where it's rejecting. You got 393.11, 393. And look, you can see here again, this is a very significant area. For 5 weeks, it held that area as support before it fell through. Remember, the zones, they don't change. The price, it doesn't change in terms of how significant it is. It's just either going to be as support or resistance, just depending on where we're currently at. And right now it will be resistance, okay? All right, so for our support, where support now is going to be 387.5. So this is our current support right here. And what I like to do is I like to go up. Since we're heading up right now, we're more than likely going to continue to consolidate between these zones here. I think once we get to 393, there's going to be a rejection unless the buyers are just they're just strong, right? And we get a breakout today, okay, or tomorrow, or before the end of the week, whatever. I like to go up since we're heading up in this direction. I mean, if we break through this support, then of course we'll recalculate our new support would be, if we break this level below, then we would have to create new support down, which would be about the 384-ish area. But as of right now, it is 387, because remember, support and resistance recalculates as the market moves. So as the market moves, your zones will change. That's why you need to learn how to identify these significant areas when you're trading. It doesn't matter if you're scalping, swinging, day trading, doesn't matter, which I do teach the fundamentals of price action and support and resistance. There is a link in the description box below of my course. So definitely check it out. All right. So we got resistance here at the top. So I'm going to create a new one here, because if we break this wall, we got to be prepared to know where it's heading, right? So for me, I'm going to check to see which area it appears to be the strongest based on previous history here. And remember, you kind of want to make sure that you're in alignment with the ATR as well, because the ATR on SPY, I think right now might be like $6 or $7. You guys can check just to make sure. So your zones don't need to be wider than $6 to $7, because you're looking at what this stock could potentially do for the day, right? So this is 390. We got 393.11. We got 399. So that's about $6 here. Yeah, it's about a $6 move, right? So once this level breaks above this 393, this would be your next zone. And I'm going to confirm these zones on the lower time frames, because you always want to confirm with the other time frames to make sure that these levels are significant, okay? All right, so these are my three zones here. This is what I'm anticipating. Once we get here to 393, we're probably going to reject, come back down here, consolidate in this area till we break above. But once we break above this 393, this would be the next area that I would see that the potential stock would come to, which is about 399, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the 4-hour here. Okay, so we know this is a very significant support. The 200 MA is acting as support here. So there's confluence. So I like my support at the 387.41. This here we know is significant, this 393, because prior it was support and it was holding for 5 weeks. So that's a significant level. And then next level up is 399. Let's look at where that is at on the 1 hour. So it's here. Here. Okay. So here, this is the level that I chose, the 399. You could see that it was a rejection area around here. And you can look, let me make this bigger so you can see here. Okay. Rejection, a fake out, but it rejected, right? Then it came after the fake out, it came back up and broke through, another fake out, higher high though, came down, and then finally another one, and then broke down, right? This is when it hit about the 410 area, yeah. So you could see that it was bursting through here, but you could see that this was a significant resistance area around here though. Here, because you could see the rejection here, you can even see that it tested the wick here. So I like this 399 area here. So we're going to keep this here, because you can see it was resistance here. Then it broke out, became support, fell through, broke out again, and then just fell. But we were at the top of the flag. We were at the 410 area. It was time for rejection. But either way, 399 is, we're going to keep that here. I like this zone. So these are going to be our zones here. So this is how I like to, when I'm day trading, this is how I like to trade. I like to know my potential areas. So I know once I get here to 393, I'm anticipating a possible rejection. So if I reject, it's going to come back down to here, right? So this would be my interest for calls. And as you see here, that the last time it got here and rejected at 393, it came down here to this support at the 200 MA, and then it started rising back. So you could probably anticipate that that pattern could happen again. Once you hit here, you come down and then up and then down and then up until you get a break. You get a break, perfect. Then you know your next resistance level, okay? And this will become new support, and then we don't have to worry about this space no more. We would create a new resistance. Hopefully that's how we're moving. I can see that though. It's very probable. Like you can even see here on this monthly chart, this candlestick, this one here for the month of January is heading its way back up. That's what it appears here. You can even see that the weekly is showing consistency, especially since on Friday we closed above the 200 MA and created this hammer. And this is the candle that's currently in motion right now. Yeah, it's a doji, but it's only what, Tuesday? Yeah. So we still have all the way until Friday before this candle completes. Okay. So I'm showing some bullish momentum again with equities. I have my zones prepared, but I know that this is the first rejection. We push through it, then this would be the next one. And look, on the daily, this 399 is showing a very, very strong resistance area, because you see that on the daily, that's where this 200 MA is too. And in the previous past, you can see that the 200 MA has been rejected here at 460, rejected here at 427, rejected here at 406, and now we're coming back on it at around 400. It will most likely reject here. I mean, if we can get past this 400, which I see that that's where we're heading. We're heading past it. Just looking at the weekly, looking at the monthly, looking at the momentum here with how these patterns are forming, we could potentially break pattern and get above 400, and then that would change a lot here from previous patterns of constant rejection. Okay, now we're coming back on it again. So definitely we have to be prepared and aware. But, based on all the signs that I'm showing, we do have a little bit more momentum around this area. Of course, we'll get a rejection. That's hands down. But, we could potentially pass through it. All right, so let's look at SQQQQ just to kind of confirm, because remember, SQQQ is inverse of QQQ. And remember, QQQ follows the equities, right? So generally, SPY and QQQ are in alignment with each other. And I like SQQQ, and I use it in my pre-market analysis for my team, because for my day traders, if we're too hot in the market, SQQQ is a good stock or a good ETF to trade. They have a very good bid and ask. They're cheap and they move, fairly nice, and they have a decent ATR. So for you guys that are scared of puts, SQQQ is a good stock to trade when the market is really red. All right, so let's take a look here at SQQQ. We know we have a bullish flag that had formed recently, but remember I told you guys yesterday that we fell below the bottom of this flag, which is the support on the daily. Even though yesterday we opened up, or we closed with I'm sorry, not yesterday, the day before, we closed with this candle here with buyers looking like they wanted to step in. The main clue for me was we didn't close above this flag here. We didn't close above this 52.6. So now this is resistance. This is resistance now that we're at the bottom. So once we get here, this is definitely a rejection. This is a rejection area. And that's exactly what happened. We had a little bit of buyers here, and then we opened up, and we came up a little bit, but sellers was like, nope, and pushed it back down. And you could see where we closed. And we're pointing down now. So yes, we do have some bearish momentum here in SQQQ, which is in alignment with what I see in equities. So I do see that we have some bullish momentum. Of course, catalysts can come in and change the course on it, but as of right now, I do see that we have some bullish momentum here. All right, so for 4 hour, yep, you can even see here we're below the 200 MA right now. Not only are we below the flag here, but we're below the 200 MA on the 4 hour. We're definitely heading down. This is bearish momentum here. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. Yeah, so we're gonna have to. So remember, we're gonna have to take this out. Support and resistance recalculates as the market moves. And remember, you know, like I mentioned before, if we're heading down, we need to start creating our zones going down because we need to be prepared for where these levels are going to be heading. So right now is SPY. Remember, we're coming up on that 390. So if we reject that 390 area, then SPY is going to start heading back down to the 387-ish or whatever area we calculated for support. So what's going to happen is these people are going to come back up here to the 200 MA at resistance and potentially reject it and then head down. So they flow in opposition of SPY. But either way, they are more weaker just because they're below the 200 MA, they're below the flag, they are creating lower lows. So I see more bearish momentum with them. But remember, temporary pullbacks and, you know, coming up to form patterns is necessary on these lower time frames. Okay, so you'll see a pullback and then you'll see it right here. So say it's coming, it rejected here, come here, and then hold on. All right, so yeah, so once it gets down here to the support, then it'll have to come up, and then once it comes up here, possibly reject it and then come back down. So you still get moves that come, even though you're a little bit bearish, you still have to, you know, anticipate, you know, it coming back up, like at these support levels, it coming back up to the resistance and then rejecting and so forth. That's why you create your zones, because once you get to these levels, you know what you can anticipate. Okay. All right, so I hope that worked. I hope everybody benefits from this video this morning. Again, it does look like we still have some momentum in the market. We are coming up on a resistance here with SPY, so just anticipate that potential rejection. But remember, it's all temporary because right now SPY is strong. Even if we reject here, come back down here, we're still holding strong. All right.